rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Outlook with me, your host Mohammed Shafiq, live from the studios of Takbeer TV here in Greater Manchester. Wherever you are watching this, whether this is on SKY Channel 743, whether you're on social media, on Facebook, on YouTube, on X, whichever social media platform you are, or if you're watching this around the world on satellite, I'm Mohammed Shafiq, and this week's edition of Outlook here on Takbeer TV. If you want to call us, it's 0161 529 9455. Now, it's that time of the year. When is Ramadan? Alhamdulillah, we're very blessed in the final few days of Shaban. Ramadan 2026 is nearly upon us. And how blessed will we be that we will be able to taste the beauty and the blessings of this holy month of Ramadan. But the key question which is asked at this time, one of the most important questions people ask, when is Ramadan? When is Eid? So tonight we're going to concentrate on the question, what is Ramadan? When is Ramadan? What is Ramadan? Maybe. What are the criteria of moon sighting? What are the rules and regulations? What are the predictions? Because as I said in my video on social media, we think that Saudi Arabia will announce tomorrow that for their Ramadan will be Wednesday, and Morocco and local sighting will be on Thursday. But what's the reasoning behind this? And is it just, वो कहते हैं ना उर्दू में कि उलमा का रोला, मौलवियों का रोला, or is there something deep inside this? We've got two very important guests, experts in their field who have got decades of experience in this area. They're respected not just within their own communities and their organizations, but across the board, and somebody who I'm privileged to call friends. The first is Dr. Raja Zaid Nawaz. He's a member of the Noor TV Moonsighting Board, an expert not just here in the UK but around the world, is joining us live from the Midlands. And we're also joined by Imad Ahmed. He's the founder of the New Crescent Society, doing some phenomenal work about local moon sighting, restricting announcements for each Islamic month to the locality and the boundaries of the United Kingdom. We'll talk to him as well. As always, we've got lots of comments coming through already. But if you want to share your thoughts and your questions, more so your questions, please. We haven't got time. We've only got an hour, less than an hour. So we want to get as much time to our guest. But if you want to ask a question, it's 0161 529 9455. Let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Raja Nawaz and Imad Ahmed. Gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Takbeer TV.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Can I start with you, Dr. Raja Zaid Nawaz? Moon sighting, is it just simple or is it complicated?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Firstly, Brother Shafiq, thank you very much indeed for having me on your program. It's always a pleasure to be here and to share some insights on moon sighting. And also, I feel privileged to share the platform with Brother Imad, who has done some extraordinary work in this field, and may Allah bless him
Ameen.
For all the work he is doing. Moon sighting can be as simple as possible, that you go out and you try to look for the crescent moon on the 29th of the Islamic month. And if it's seen, you conclude the month. If it's not seen, then you complete 30 days. That's the simple way. However, we could make it complex by imposing or relying on other sources, whether it's astronomical calculations, whether it's following countries. And as soon as you enter that sphere, it gets complex because people assume that Muslim countries will be sighting the crescent moon. Brother Shafiq, that's not the case anymore. Many countries have abandoned actual moon sighting and are relying on some form of astronomical calculations. And then there's further divisions within that astronomical calculations are not based on the crescent visibility. In fact, in some countries, they simply follow the criterion of the birth of the moon followed by a positive lag time, but no crescent visibility. But people assume that those countries are following the crescent moon, the visibility of it. And that's why when we see the announcements being made, there is a huge confusion between the reality and the possibility of the crescent moon being actually seen and the claim that's being made that the moon or the crescent moon has been sighted. And that creates huge confusion. So we could make it as simple as possible or as complex as we wish.
Okay, that's very simply. Imad Ahmed, I mean, before we talk about New Crescent Society, the work that you do in the New Crescent Society, just set out that there is local moon sighting, there is global declarations of moon sighting, and then there's the birth of the moon. Can you just explain the difference between the three methods?
Absolutely. And I would actually say there's more than three methods. And in my research in the books, I've probably seen more than 30 methods. But the origin of the calendar and the tradition of the calendar is to sight the moon in your locality with your eyes. And this was always the practice of the early generation of Muslims up until the modern day. And what we're trying to do within the organization of New Crescent Society is to look at all of the positions that exist and respect them. Every position you've mentioned, I would say that, of course, they have been derived from the Quran, they have been derived from the Sunnah by ulama. And we're not here to say that any position is wrong. We're not here to say any position is haram. However, in order to have unity, we do need to find a position where everybody is comfortable. So as you go through the different positions that you've mentioned, one of the positions you've mentioned is calculations. Within the UK, there are many ulama who believe you can't abandon moon sighting. They believe it's haram to abandon moon sighting in favor of the calculation. Now, I'm not commenting halal haram, but I'm saying if you have a sizable population of ulama who believe that calculation is wrong, we're never going to have unity on calculation. Similarly, every position you look at, for example, following Saudi, some people follow Saudi and they cite global calendars or following Saudi. The Saudi Arabian calendar, as we know, as Dr. Zahid Nawaz is indicating, is very unreliable. And because of that, many ulama in the UK do not follow Saudi, and they cite this reason. So again, as you have many masjids who do not wish to follow Saudi Arabia, you will not find unity following Saudi. And anybody who says unity is through Saudi or unity through calculations is mistaken. Otherwise, we would have had unity already. The local sighting is sunnah. To see with your eyes is sunnah. Nobody disputes this. And therefore, we propose it as a position which will bring unity in the UK. Because no Muslim has a problem with looking for the moon. No Muslim has a problem with the sunnah. And therefore, to find unity, we propose we use the sunnah. And it is a sunnah that is being utilized in other countries. The countries we follow, like Morocco, they use naked eye sighting. The country that we follow, South Africa, they use naked eye sighting, and so on. Even Saudi Arabia, whatever criticism of their astronomical practices, their position is we follow sighting in our own locality. Don't follow us.
I think that's a really
unity. We propose it as the solution. And just one small thing I'd add: we'd never had this solution in the UK in the past. Because we didn't have moon sighters. The ulama of the past didn't have this facility. They tried to look for the moon. Maybe it was cloudy. Maybe they didn't have moon sighters. But today, New Crescent Society and other organizations, we have Moon Sighters Academy, which is a training program by University of Cambridge and University of Leeds, are working together to build a network of moon sighters. And we found almost 9 years in a row now, alhamdulillah, the moon is visible in the UK. We have a network now, and we can see the moon in the UK. And we propose that we can return to the sunnah now. It wasn't possible before, but it's possible now with Allah's permission in the UK.
As in terms of technological advances, in terms of astronomy and science is obviously developed. But this just clarify on that, the very basic principle is that you see the moon or attempt to see the moon with the naked eye, not optical aids, not binoculars, and use that
absolutely correct
high definition cameras.
We are proposing the sunnah, And if you go to another country where this sunnah is being implemented, like Morocco or Bangladesh, they don't use optical aids. They use their eyes. And Muslims have been using their eyes in an unbroken chain since the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so when we introduce something different like optical aids, I'm not saying it's haram. I'm saying you won't find unity because some people do believe it's haram.
Yeah.
So let's stick to the sunnah and we will find unity.
Okay.
But just on the optical aid, we have found, because we practice with optical aids, we have astronomers in our team, we found many problems with the optical aid. For example, there's a group who use optical aid. Because of using optical aid, you can see the moon earlier and earlier and earlier. They saw the moon on the 28th. We're going to get to the point where you can see the moon all the time with optical aid. So when you move away from the sun, you're going to find these problems.
I'm going to explore that in a second about the UAE, because we may think this year may be the first year that they might deviate from their positions of following the Saudi opinion, and that's for geopolitical reasons rather than moon sighting reasons. But we'll talk about that in a second. Again, 0161 529 9455. I smiled during that, Imad. There's a comment on our YouTube page. If you're watching this on YouTube, somebody asked the question, when is Ramadan? And somebody replied, after Shaban. So I thought that was funny. Anyway, Dr. Raja Zaid Nawaz Sahab, just on that, I mean, we know that amongst the Ahl Sunnah, there is two distinct groups now. There's a majority group, and then there's the group Sheikh Luqmanawi, Allama Ghulam Rabbani Afghani Sahab, distinguished, honourable Islamic scholars, who we respect a great deal for their work for the deen. But on this particular issue, they seem to have adopted the Saudi position, which is global sighting and birth of the moon. Can you just clear up why there's a difference amongst the Barelvis on this?
Yeah, with all due respect to the personalities you've mentioned, I'm not going to talk about the personalities, obviously, but the core issue is this. To make decisions on astronomical calculations, once again, we have to be very clear that there is no actual sighting taking place at the point of their announcement. So, for example, if you track the announcements made, they are very ambiguous in nature. Sometimes they rely exclusively on astronomical calculations, and on some occasions they start talking about visibility. But at the point of their announcement, there is no visibility anywhere. So what they are assuming is that the moon will be sighted somewhere on the globe by this particular time. So it's an assumption-based announcement. Whereas in comparison to those ulama and those scholars who make the announcement on actual crescent visibility reports, it's when the crescent moon has been sighted, not when it will be sighted or may be sighted. So that's a crucial difference that we need to bear in mind. One, i.e. our board, which is the Ahl Sunnah board, makes their announcements based on reality, that the crescent moon has been sighted, whereas the other announcements are basing their announcements on hypothetical assessments or astronomical calculations indicating that the crescent has been formed. There is a difference, and Brother Imad will obviously elaborate or correct me. The crescent, for it to be seen, it's different. But to say, has the crescent moved from the point of conjunction to the point of crescent, from conjunction to crescent, is a separate matter. So what they're announcing their announcements on is a similar model to the Turkish announcement system, that the moon has reached the point of 5 degrees altitude and 8 degrees elongation. So technically, by one school of thought within the world of astronomical calculations and theories, it may be classed as hilal, the crescent. Can it be classed as the hilal? For some, yes, because there's no uniformity on this 5 degrees altitude and 8 degrees elongation. Some experts will say, no, it needs to reach to 10 degrees elongation for it to form a crescent. Forming a crescent is one aspect, but actually to see the crescent is the next stage.
So is that the basic principle?
Waits for the next stage.
Yeah, so just clarify that for our viewers. Obviously, you know, I've spent a lot of time with both of you gentlemen, so I think I've got understanding. But just for our viewers who don't understand this, the basic principle is that you have to see the moon and attempt to see the moon to complete the sunnah.
Our announcement from the Ahl Sunnah Royat Hilal Board and Brother Imads and others like Wifaqul Ulama all have to actually have the sighting of the crescent as the nucleus of their criterion.
Okay,
not
good.
that the crescent is present on the horizon, not that the moon is present on the horizon, not that there's a positive lag time or it's reached a certain altitude or elongation. The actual requirement is, has the crescent been sighted? And Brother Shafiq, this is the question of the exam. And the examination question is, has the crescent been sighted on the 29th of the Islamic month? And if you go into that exam and write, I think it will be sighted tomorrow, or may be sighted, you're not answering the question. The question is, has it been sighted on the 29th of the Islamic month? And we try to answer that question with a firm yes or no and base the decisions accordingly.
Okay, we want to explore this in a bit further details. If you allow me, gentlemen, we've got quite a few calls waiting, so I've invited the callers to come. I just remind our callers, we don't have time for comments, but if you can have a question, please, that would be really, really useful. Let's go to line 1. Assalamu alaikum, you're live on Takbeer TV. Hello, caller. Caller 1. Are you there, caller 1? Hello?
Can you please call people?
Okay.
Can you please call people by the numbers? Because I don't know what number higher.
If you can switch your TV volume off, brother, I could hear you. So please switch your TV volume off and concentrate on your phone, and then you can put through. So it just saves us a lot of time. Are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Welcome, brother. What would you like to say?
Okay, so my name is Anis Joseph, and I have been involved in moonsighting from the early 80s. And yes, I agree with the brother Imad Ahmed with putting some very valid points. The only couple of things that I have got to say is about global sighting. So in my opinion, and opinion of many ulemas that I've spoken to, some of them very highly respected ulemas, muftis, and everyone that I have spoken to tell me that global sighting cannot be possible. Very simple, because of the time difference that we have between different countries, i.e. Australia, America, etc.
Brother, your question, sorry, we've got lots of calls waiting and I want to get through as many of them as possible.
Okay, so my question is very simple. The only way possible is have as many moonsighters as possible in this country. How many masajid are actually making any effort in getting their members out for sighting the moon? That's my question. Without that,
thank you so much. Brother, the really important point about global sighting as well, but really the role of masajids. I mean, we'll talk to Imad in a second. Let's take, can we take another call? Let's go to, I think we're in the United States. Let's welcome brother, sister in the United States. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, brother. What's your name? You're calling from the US, yeah?
Yes, my name is Ahmad and I'm calling from, I'm sorry, I can hear my voice.
Yeah, if you put your TV volume down or your whatever you're watching it on, we'll be able to hear you properly.
Sorry, TV is off already.
Okay. Go ahead now, sir.
Okay, so my question is, why there is so much conflict in the Muslim Ummah when it comes to the sightseeing of a crescent. Like we do have a clear instructions from Prophet Muhammad, like see the moon and then you can have your Ramadan begin, or all the lunar months we have to start them over. So why this is so much complicated nowadays? We like somebody like they're following the Islamic calendars now, and some of the school of thoughts they're actually following the same practice which has been going on from the last 1400 years. So why we are not united? Why only this Ramadan thing is kind of getting on our minds, right?
Okay.
So
Thank
we
you so
have
much.
to just a message for the Ummah as well, like
Okay. Yeah.
just follow the Sunnah. Whatever is in the Sunnah, we have to follow that.
Thank you,
and,
brother. I'll give you a
make
bit.
our
I'll
life
give you a
easier.
bit more time because you were from the USA. So thank you so much for joining us there, brother. Imad, can I come to you first? The sense of you've done a lot of outreach work. I've known you for many years. You've gone to masajids. You've gone to ulama. Have you seen? I mean, you've got your own teams out every month anyway. I see that every month. But are you seeing the masajid signing up now to train the people in the mosque, the committees, the muqtadis, and then sending them out as a team? Are you seeing a change to what it was like 5 years ago when I first interviewed you?
Yes, there's a huge change, I would say. And the brother asked a question from America. I actually have an answer for him. He asked, why is there so much of a dispute? And I think it's a good question. And this will help answer your question too. When Muslims attempted to manage the calendar in the UK, let's say in the 1950s, they tried to see the moon and they really struggled to see the moon because they felt it was very cloudy, but also they didn't have a network of moon sighters. Whatever country you go to, for example, Morocco, they have more than 200 locations. When I went to Bangladesh, I saw they have 64 locations. So managing the calendar in a country which is notoriously cloudy was hard for them. And as a result of that, they started to look at other solutions which weren't the Sunnah. And this
Like
included
what?
looking at like following Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
It's not a Sunnah to follow the
Or
Saudi Arabia.
calculations or criteria.
Sure, yeah. I'm not saying it's haram, but we know the practice of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We know the practice of the Ahlul Bayt. We know the practice of the Sahaba was to look for their moon with their own eyes, but this was not possible for them. So when you go to a secondary solution, like to follow Saudi Arabia, like to abandon moon sighting altogether, it's inevitable that you have a dispute because neither are the Sunnah. But when you present the Sunnah, everyone says, well, yeah, I agree, that's the Sunnah. So the solution is in the Sunnah, but the Sunnah wasn't
which
available.
is local sighting. Which is
With
local
your own
sighting.
eyes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I ask you the same question, Dr. Rajazaid Nawaz Sahib? You spend a lot of time, like I do, with a lot of the ulama, the mashaykh. What are you seeing a change within the Brelvi community? Let's just use that term, which encompasses all of us. Are we seeing masajid, the ulama, embrace local sighting and sending teams out, getting them the training?
I think we have to be clear the momentum which other organizations and including the Ahl Sunnah Brelvi organizations have created and the awareness on moon sighting has led to more open and more focused debate. And I think when they see national media coverage, provide coverage on local moon sighting efforts, when they read about local moon sighting developing within the United Kingdom, it has a huge impact on the young generation who are much more scientifically and operationally oriented. So definitely there is a sea of change taking place. So in our criterion, the first condition of our moon sighting criterion is that go out on the 29th of the Islamic month and make attempts to see the crescent moon. So we and local moon sighting individuals or organizations like the New Crescent Society and others and Wifaqul Ulama are all united on local moon sighting. The
So
second
there are
point I
teams
just
going
want
out.
to second point I want to highlight is global moon sighting, which is very important.
Can
One
I
of
just
your
pause you on
callers.
that? Dr. Saab, I want
Yes.
to talk about global sighting, but if we just pause on that, because I want to explore this, the local sighting bit. Imad, can I ask you about last year, the beginning of Ramadan and the conflict we had with Fakul ulama, certain ulama in Yorkshire took a declaration of a brother who obviously you and I talked to last Ramadan. They took a declaration which was not by the naked eye. They accepted that. There was a huge uproar. There was huge confusion. And this year, I've spoke to them today, they're absolutely clear that they do not accept any optical aid announcements. It will have to be somebody with a naked eye. What's your reflections on how did we get to this point where Wifaqul Ulama was accepting a testimony from somebody who was clear that they hadn't seen the moon with a naked eye?
Moon sighting is something which is new to the UK. The ulama are very learned, but they are learning still about moon sighting because we were not doing moon sighting, and they are expanding their knowledge. We are all expanding our knowledge on this. They had an experience where somebody came and they said, with an optical aid, I saw the moon, although it was not visible. We had thousands of people look for the moon and we didn't see the moon, but the brother said, and he did see the moon with an optical aid. And this caused massive division because, again, there are some people who say you shouldn't use optical aids. And then when the ulama reflected on their decision, because it did cause huge uproar, they amended their position. And they amended it carefully. They said, we're not saying it's haram, but now that we tried it out and now we've investigated it, we found it not to be the appropriate solution for the UK. And like I've said,
sustainable, is it?
It's not sustainable because they get 28 days. It's already happened to them.
Yeah, it's already happened to them. Okay. Yeah, no, I think that's really important.
Can
0161
I just add a point,
529. I'm going to come to you in a second.
Shafiq?
I'm going to come to you in a second. Can I just give the number out? 0161 529 9455. Dr. Saab, can you also reflect on what happened last year with Wifaq Ulama, but also can you also answer the issue about global sighting as well, please, sir?
Receiving a testification from somebody that they've sighted the moon through a telescope or binoculars is no shock to the system. It shouldn't be. How it's accepted, that's where the challenge is. And our board, the Ahl Sunnah board, did not accept the testification given. And I relay that back because your audience is primarily from the Indian subcontinent. Yeah. In Pakistan, we have a central Royat-e-Hilal committee. The chairperson, who was at that time Mufti Munibur Rahman Sahib, received many testifications that people claiming that they have sighted the crescent, and yet the board did not accept their testifications. We did exactly the same, that a person, whoever they may be, claims that the sky is absolutely clear. And we see a video saying, Wallahi, I have seen the crescent, but it just disappeared. Now, our ulama cannot accept that kind of testification.
Is that because they're in conflict with the scientific and the weather?
They are not in conflict with the individual. Let's make that very clear. This isn't an individualized approach.
No, it's not.
The concept of accepting testifications and how they are verified or validated is the board, is the ulama, who are the experts who make that decision, that do we accept khabre wahid, a single person, as Brother Imad said, others are standing there around the locality, not a single person other than one person is claiming sighting, and the horizon is clear. That cannot be accepted by the ulama. And I could say this confidently, if it happens again, say for Ramadan or Shawwal or any other month, our board, the Ahl Sunnah board, will be very reluctant to accept such testification. However, let me add, if somebody claims that they've seen the crescent in, say, Dorset, and then some more people come up from Manchester, from Leeds, from London, and you have this overwhelming claim of Muslims claiming that they have actually seen the crescent. That's a completely different scenario.
Sorry,
But
can I,
the
I've just
scenario
got,
that you referred to was not that case.
okay,
That was
I
an
just want,
unprecedented and
can I,
testification by a single person.
no. I apologize for interrupting you, Dr. Saab, but I just wanted to get more clarity on this. If you got, say, 10 people who said they've seen the moon, but the observatory report said it was impossible to be seen, you wouldn't accept that, would you?
No.
Okay, that's
The
what I'm making.
astronomical calculations are used to reject such claims of false sightings of the crescent. Otherwise, then Saudi Arabia also makes the announcement that they have sighted the crescent. Please do not ignore that fundamental fact.
Yeah.
On tomorrow, which is Tuesday, when you see the actual statement from Saudi, it will not state that the moon was born and it's present on the horizon for 3 minutes. Therefore, we are announcing. Never. The announcement will be very straightforward. We have seen the crescent moon, whether it's in Sudair, Shakra, or Tomer. That would be the claim. Sighting. But the question is, has the moon been sighted? No, because astronomically, it's virtually impossible for the crescent moon to be sighted anywhere.
Gentlemen,
tomorrow, Tuesday.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. We've probably got about 15 minutes left. Time has flown, and I just got two very important geopolitical issues I want to talk about. Let's take one caller, then we'll kind of close the lines because I think I want to focus the rest of the time for you. Let's go to line one. Assalamu alaikum. You're live on Takbeer TV.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Yes, brother. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Jamil and I'm calling from North London.
Welcome, brother.
Thank you so much. I'm actually very frustrated because there's a question about moon sighting and I don't understand why can we not use binoculars or telescopes to see the moon?
Okay. Is that the only question? Okay. Thank you, Jamil bhai. Apologies, we're going to have to close the lines there because we haven't got enough time. Dr. Raja Zaid Nawaz or Imad, who wants to pick that up about why can't we use binoculars? Can you use it as a tool to guide you to see the moon and then to put the binoculars down and then to try attempt to see it with your eye? Is that allowed?
I would like to answer that question.
Please.
I think, again, the approach I'm taking is avoiding this discussion, halal, haram. Okay. I can find you a fatwa for everything. My goal is unity, and unity is on the sunnah. I'm not saying using a telescope or a CCD camera or an astro camera or anything is haram. What I am saying is it will not bring unity because many people believe it's haram. And so how will you find unity on that? But I am experienced, our team is experienced in the use of optical aids. And actually, in our practical usage, we find it causes many problems. One of the problems we find is as optical aids get better and better and better, you can see the moon earlier and earlier and earlier. With certain optical aids, you can see the moon way before it's a hilal. You can see it at the point where the sun and the moon are almost together. So this would be shifting the calendar earlier and earlier because our optical aid is better and better. Remember, the crescent is in the sky all day. It's not that the crescent suddenly appears. It's just not visible. So we can produce daytime sightings of the moon. And
Imad, sorry, just to make it clear. So, for example, in Pakistan, the Central Ruya Halat Committee would often have this big telescope and they would look for the moon. And then when they've seen it, they would then not look at the telescope and then say, right now, can we see it with our naked eye? Yes, we can. Okay, we've got a positive declaration here. No, we can't. We're not going to accept it. So it can be used as a tool to guide you.
Absolutely. I think it's a very good. It's a very good tool. And sometimes we've had the case where somebody was looking at something and they thought it was the moon. And these guides helped us understand you're not seeing the moon, you're seeing Venus or some other planet. So we use everything in our hand and capability to get accurate moon sighting. But if you go beyond the sunnah, believe me, we've seen it already. There's problems such as seeing the moon very early, such as moving the calendar a day early, such as the case that if you begin the calendar 1 month with naked eye, and then the next month you begin it with binoculars, you start to have this mixed calendar, which ends up with odd dates. And we've experienced that already. So you have to stick to the sunnah. And that's why every country which is doing moon sighting, like Morocco, South Africa, Pakistan, Bangladesh, they don't use optical aids because it messes the system up.
Okay.
But if you want to use it, I'm not saying it's haram. Use it, but you'll learn what we've already learned. We're sharing with you our experience.
Yeah, but that's important, and I hope that answers your question, Jamil Bhai. So interestingly, if I can ask you, Dr. Raja Zaid Nawaz Sahab, we had the turmoil over many years recently, and we will have in the next 48 hours, whatever happens. But we are seeing the dynamics change in the Middle East. You referred to Turkey. Turkey have already calculated it to be Thursday. That's a deviation from their normal practice. Australia, Singapore have announced for Thursday. But interestingly, the UAE, who are in a bit of a tiff, if you like, with the Saudi government, have said there's a possibility that they will announce a negative sighting tomorrow night, not follow Saudi Arabia for the first time, and start on Thursday. How significant is that from a moon sighting point of view, or is it just geopolitics of what's going on between Saudi and UAE?
It's not the first time that we've had these early reports from Arab countries say that the moon cannot be sighted, therefore it is very likely we will be starting the month. But when the alarm bell rings from Saudi Arabia, from experience, if you track the majority of the Middle Eastern countries, including UAE, all seem to follow the Saudi announcement, and everybody starts to start Ramadan on a particular day. It's the domino impact which takes place starting from Saudi and then multiplies across the Muslim world and the European world. So I will not be surprised if UAE and other Arab countries follow Saudi Arabia. The early assessments that we get are based on the experts, the astronomers, the astronomical experts. Their reports are analyzed by media outlets saying that the moon cannot be sighted tomorrow anywhere in the world. That's a fact. However, when Saudi announces, that fact disappears and countries start following Saudi Arabia. And the irony is that the announcements are factually incorrect because they are making a claim of sighting. That should not happen. If they were to make the announcement that we are following Saudi based on their criterion of the Al-Qura calendar, I think it would eliminate lots of confusion that there is sighting. So and as we are, just one final point, even ARY and Geo and other Asian subcontinent channels, when they announce, it's the announcement of the Saudi which is being multiplied across the channels.
Yeah. And that's interesting. You know, we obviously refer to Turkey. Turkey are very clear about the calculation that they use, and they go by the birth of the moon.
No sighting, just no calculation.
Sighting. And that's why this year, interestingly, they would have normally gone for Wednesday, but they've said, no, we're going to go to Thursday. That's interesting. Imad, do you think, you know, Dr. Uday and all the others, who every year, Dr. Raja Zaid Nawaz, absolutely, every year they say it's impossible to be seen, and then suddenly they make the announcements. Do you think because of those geopolitical, what's happening in Sudan, what's happening in Libya, the tiff, if you like, between Saudi and the UAE, that the UAE may this year, for the first time in many, many years, deviate from the Saudi announcement?
I don't personally see it happening. We've never seen it before, but there's a lot of speculation in the media. If the media have information that I am not privy to, that might be the case. I don't have that information. I can only tell you what's happened in the past. And in the past, in general, the Arab Gulf states in general follow Saudi. However, we are seeing some of the Arab states on occasion.
What about Oman? Oman are quite independent, aren't they?
Oman, for a long time, have not followed Saudi for Ramadan, but they will follow Saudi for Eid al-Adha. Yeah. Because they find it difficult to be on the peninsula and have a different pilgrimage dates. But Oman have declared already is scientifically impossible, and
Possible,
we
yeah.
as a country won't follow. Last year, Jordan didn't follow Saudi because it was scientifically impossible for Eid as well. I think Syria didn't follow. I think Egypt didn't follow.
There was
So
a bit of
sometimes these
countries.
countries are breaking away from the hegemony of Saudi moon sighting, but it's still quite strong and it's something unfolding. We'll have to watch, observe, and see. It might be the case Saudi say they don't see the moon tomorrow. It can happen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is possible, based on. I got excited last year when you saw all these reports from the media in the Middle East, and then suddenly, less than 12 hours later, they were making that announcement. So that's really interesting. Now, local sighting. Sorry, go on.
Isn't it so sad? We're sitting here in the UK. All the astronomers are saying Saudi moon sighting is false. We know from their own Arab moon sighters that it's false, and yet we are beholden to them. It makes me sad. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not even saying it's wrong to follow Saudi, but the information is available, and I always wonder, why are we so beholden when they themselves, the ulama of Saudi, say don't follow us? The ulama of Saudi openly state, follow your own moon sighting, don't follow us.
Dr. Raja Zaid Nawaz, can I ask you very simply? It was an historic moment last year. A lot of the ulama from the Ahl Sunnah wal Jamaat Barelvi school of thought would never accept declarations of local sighting. And last year you led the way in accepting those announcements of a positive sighting in the United Kingdom. Is this the light at the end of the tunnel for Barelvis to suddenly wake up and support local sighting?
If the crescent moon is seen across the UK, I think one would be rather, let me use the term naive or ignorant, to ignore the fact that everybody is calling you and saying, I've seen the crescent moon, I've seen, and when you step outside your doorstep, you could see the crescent moon. In those cases, I think it is local moon sighting which takes precedence. Whether there is a geopolitical change or not, one thing is clear. We have a demographic change and there's an intergenerational gap. The young Muslims are much more operationally oriented. They will not, if I was to focus ahead, they would not be sitting tracking the moon from Saudi or Morocco or South Africa and go for a moon cruise on the 29th of the Islamic month. I see the sea of change that within the UK, our young Muslims would be doing local moon sighting and relying simply on the UK horizon and not looking elsewhere. But I say it would take some time for that mindset to get to that particular point. But I think we are moving in that direction. There's no doubt about that.
Imad, Wednesday, which is going to be a big night for you, you teamed up with the Royal Greenwich Observatory. Just set a scene how moon sighting. I've got 4 minutes. I'm going to give you 2 minutes just to set out what's going to happen on Wednesday night when you broadcast live.
The Sunnah is not just for the Muslim. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came for all humanity. And I have found that the Greenwich Observatory, which is not a Muslim organization, fascinated with our Sunnah. It's Sunnatullah in the Quran. The Sunnah is described as it is the way of Allah. And Islam is the deen of fitrah. Over and over again, I'm finding non-Muslim organizations like the University of Cambridge, the University of Leeds, Royal Observatory Greenwich, Stonehenge, National Heritage, English Heritage, National Space Center. They want to do moon sighting with us. And so what's going to happen on Wednesday with the observatory? They are facilitating moon sighting. And we'll be looking for the moon across the country. And in the most prestigious, famous, historic observatory site where time is measured from Greenwich, we'll be reporting in and saying, have we seen the moon or not, with the astronomers from the observatory helping us check the validity of reports. There's no better system that I can think of in the world with the most prestigious organizations in the world.
Yeah, and you take live calls, broadcasts from your moon sighters across the country. They report back and say, yes, we've seen it, not we've seen it, and you get those reports. That's great. Dr. Zaid Nawaz, typically one of the things that you will do is you will absorb all these reports, you will verify it accordance with the Sharia, and then you will make your announcement on television, on Noor TV, for example, which you are part of. Tell us a bit more about that process. How do you stay in touch? Because you'd be sitting on television, I'll be watching you, and I'll be texting you as well at the same time, trying to give you an update as to what's going on. How does that work practically on a night when you look for the moon?
It works very simply. Firstly, building up to the 29th, we encourage people, our board, the congregations to go out and sight the crescent moon, to collaborate with local organizations who are also doing the same. And I and others on the board say to our congregation, collaborate with the New Crescent Society when you sight the moon. Speak to Wifaqul Ulama, identify the best sighting points, and then on the day, our own people who are out there in the field, who sight the crescent, whether it's in low in numbers or whether they are in minority, that's not the debate here. They inform us that we've actually seen the moon or we haven't seen the crescent moon. But I also then collaborate with learned people like Brother Imad and other organizations, including Wifaqul Ulama, to ask the fundamental question, have they or any of their members actually made any claims of sighting the crescent moon? That information is then presented to the board, and our senior scholars deliberate upon that. They also reach out to their reliable sources, whether it's in the UK, and yes, they do istifada khabar, reaching out and finding out whether there is any overwhelming news of any sighting of the crescent, not calculations, in neighboring countries like Morocco, etc. And then our decision is made. But if the moon is sighted in the UK, the case is closed.
Okay.
We announce.
Yeah,
we're not going to wait for any other country.
No, and that's an important point. Because of modern technology and social media, Dr. Raja Zaid Nawaz, quite a lot of the ulama of Ahl Sunnah al Jamaat Brelvi School of Thought and Wifaqul Ulama will be having their meetings, analysing the data and making an announcement at some point. But Morocco's already announced and the news is already out, and sometimes it takes 2-3 hours for the formal announcement to be done on camera. Is there any way we can speed that up?
I understand. Sometimes there was a delay, but it wasn't from our announcement. As soon as we got confirmation from our reliable sources, including the New Crescent Society, of the crescent moon being sighted, I mean, there isn't any ambiguity in that.
No, I get that.
If our reliable sources are saying that the crescent has been sighted and we are about to make the announcement, we were the first ones, as far as the Ahl Sunnah were concerned, on TV to make the announcement. And I would have been disappointed if others made an announcement on a different date, but that wasn't the case. All announced on the same date.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned that, because we know a few masajids had already made an announcement for Eid al-Adha.
And they had to reverse.
Between you and I, we got them to reverse those decisions based on the fact that we had a positive sighting in the UK. So, Imad, final, I suppose, comment to you, sir. So, Wednesday, 6 o'clock, you're on the New Crescent Society social media platforms, and people could just watch the magic of moon sighting.
The word for moon, crescent in Arabic, is hilal.
Hilal.
And this word hilal comes from an older Arabic word which means to scream out in joy.
SubhanAllah.
There's a word related which is tahlil, which means to say la ilaha illallah. And it's related to a Hebrew word, hallelujah, which means. And the action of seeing the moon brings joy to the hearts. To implement the sunnah in your life will bring joy to your hearts.
Thank you.
And I will say that it is through the sunnah we'll find unity, inshallah.
Well, Imad Ahmed, thank you so much. If you want to tune into New Crescent Society, I have to recommend it. You can do that on Wednesday evening, 6 o'clock on the New Crescent Society Facebook page. Also, Dr. Raja Zaid Nawaz, who's a member of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jamaat Moonsighting Board. Your announcement will also be on Wednesday after Maghrib.
We will be screaming with Brother Imad, inshallah, on Wednesday.
Yeah, and I'll be on social media giving you the updates from here in the UK and around the world tomorrow for potentially announcement from Saudi Arabia, other countries, but around the world as well. And if you've got any information, any questions, support. And one more thing, inshallah, we'll talk about Eid when we get into Ramadan. From me, Muhammad Shafiq, of the whole team here, have a fantastic Ramadan. Have it blessed. Please pray for myself and everybody's family, particularly people in Gaza, Sudan, Libya and Syria and Yemen, wherever people are suffering around the world. We pray for them. And inshallah, Aziz, I'll see you next week at the new time, earlier in the afternoon. But from me, Muhammad Shafiq, and the whole team here at Takbeer TV, thank you so much for joining us. I'll see you very, very soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.